There's nothing you can do. You have no control over it, so you just got to kind of sit there.
How did you get into racing in the first place?
It's my dad's fault, really. My dad was a fan. He raced on weekends. It was his hobby, and it was the first thing I can remember really is being at a racetrack with him. So whether it was going and watching him or whether it was going sitting in front of the TV watching Formula One races in the sort of late 70s, that was where it all started.
How old were you when you really started getting into it, and what did the schedule entail?
Started racing when I was 10, and it got more sort of serious to the point when I think I was 16. I was doing my exams. Well, I finished my English exam. I jumped on the plane, went to Italy, raced the European Kart Championships, and came back for my history exam.
And I understand oftentimes you would wake up Monday mornings in the van and have to go to school.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, when we were racing within the UK, my dad would, he'd finish work on maybe a Thursday or a Friday, drive down to the kart track, wherever that would be, practice, race. Right after the race, he'd jump in the van again. We'd go in the back, Marino and I. If my sister was there, the beds, we all had our own bunk beds there. Wake up Monday morning, and school was on the agenda. Though I would try very, very hard to get out of that if I could.
Tell about this van.
It was the back sort of third was for the karts and all the racing stuff, and then the front 2/3 was accommodation, bunk beds, bathroom, shower, kitchen, all that sort of stuff. We did a lot of miles in that van.
Your brother told me at times there was barely enough money to even put fuel in the van to get to races. How tight did things get financially at some point?
You would have to ask my dad that.
Because he kept that reasonably private. I mean, he didn't even really let you guys know just how much money he put into the racing pursuits.
Well, I don't think he actually knows how much money he put in, because he said he started to add it up once and gave up. It was starting to freak him out a little bit. But no, he kept it. He kept that pretty quiet. You could tell at times there was a lot of pressure, though.
Your parents financed your early racing career from the money made off your father's ice cream distributorship, and then they also refinanced their house. You mentioned the pressure. How much did you feel that pressure, given that?
Well, people would say at times, whether it was going down to the wire for an IndyCar championship or the last lap of an Indianapolis 500, people would say, "Oh, the pressure," and I'd say, "Well, really, I didn't feel that as pressure. Pressure was not knowing if you were getting to go to the next race because there wasn't enough money there to get to that track, or any of those things, or at the end of a season sitting there going, oh, what's going to happen next year." That's pressure.
And hoping you don't wreck the car.
Well, with the karts weren't so bad to fix, but the first year in cars was difficult because if I crashed that was really it. I was lucky, obviously, in the fact that my dad had refinanced the house without telling my mum, and then my mum didn't kill him when she found out, but had very understanding team owners, and that sort of got us through that first year.
Your mom has never been to the Indianapolis 500 before, but says she was actually considering going to the one before your retirement. Why is she unable to actually watch you race in person?
I don't know. I would imagine the stress. There's nothing you can do. You have no control over it, so you just got to kind of sit there. Although she's got a technique, she watches on TV and does the ironing. And that's her way of chilling out, so she tells me.
Well, that's what you were saying. Yet your dad will go to, many of the races and watch in person. He was obviously very involved in the career, early on, helping out a lot. But as you, progressed in racing, almost overnight, he went from doing everything to becoming a spectator. How difficult do you think that was for him?
I think it must be a difficult thing for a father who does that, who does everything for their kid. And judging by the amount of fathers and parents that do it badly. It must be a really difficult thing. There's not many parents, I would say, that a team maybe kind of embraces, and because they just let their kid get on with it. And my dad, I think, was great at that. Just from the point when I started racing cars, he's like, these guys are now looking after you. They know more than me. Go have fun. He would come to the races. He would support me in any way and come to almost every race. Same with Marino, but he just let the team get on with it.